in previous session, I think so we have discussed regarding the recovery mechanism. So how actually the recovery mechanism will work out and all everything that we have gone through in previous session as a gist. So now we will see in detail regarding the recovery mechanism, how the recovery mechanism will work out and all and everything. So as what about recovery mechanism? So as we mentioned in previous session, so it's basically a error handling technique. If anything got wrong, so we are going to start the process at where actually the process gone wrong. So that is where actually the recovery mechanism will help you a lot in identifying the error, the part of your entire mapping logic. Now we will take up the continue the same example. So and we'll proceed from there. So actually today I have logged into the different server, and so that's the reason why what I will do is I will try to create a new project for us. And in that new project I'm going to create a new job here. JB underscore recovery mode. So one workflow. So another workflow. So I'm trying to define the scenario where each workflow will have two or three data flows. If any of the data flows got a failure, then how actually, so we are going to proceed in a recovery mode, and without recovery mode, how actually the process will, the cursor of the BODS will take care. That is what actually we are going to see. So I have given two different names for two different workflows. They are in sequence. They are connected in sequence. So first workflow will have the data flow here like this. So df underscore and the same workflow will have another data flow. So both are in sequence now. In first workflow, so I'm going to take any random table, random file. I'm taking one file format here. So view data. So let me take any random file here. So we have the demo file. I'm just checking the file because in the new server I don't know where actually we have a server, the file and everything. Yeah, I see that we have the reports. We will take up this particular file. in order to load it into the target table. You can simply drag and drop source, query transformation, drag and drop. Now I'm trying to load it into a template table here. As usual, into our target SQL Server underscore DB. Demo load, connect. This is the first recovery mode, data flow. And we have the second recovery mode data flow here. I'm just taking another query transformation here. So don't go with the files, whatever I'm considering here. Just go with the process, entire process, recovery mechanism. I have just defined another data flow here. And after that, I have one more workflow here. So in another one workflow, I have to define one more data flow. I'm just giving a normal naming convention. I'm trying to build a series of workflows on the data flows. Here one workflow is having two data flows actually. And we have one more workflow where it has two data flows again. So my point is to how actually the BODS will behave if I'm not going to enable the recovery mode. If anything got wrong, so that we will see now. And so similarly, we will also take out the code from the first, or we will take up from the second. We will try to execute there. So for understanding purpose. Okay, incorrect code. I wantedly doing some incorrect code modifications here so that we will get a very good example. Now I have executed the job. Let us try to identify how it will behave actually. See here what actually happening here. One workflow recovery mode is started. In that data flow recovery model 1, is completed successfully, and recovery model 2 is also completed successfully. And the next one is started, and everything seems to be successful. So the overall job is successful here. Okay, so whatever the example that we have give here, so that is also working here. Okay. So now what we will do is we will wantedly we will do some mistake. Where we will do a mistake, let us see. Okay, everything is working. Everything is spinning. Okay, we will try to generate a file here. Let us see. Create file format. So where actually I want to generate onto my desktop, and file names. File name would be 123. I would like to give here. Save and close. Into the target. So let us see like how it will go here, because I wantedly do some mistake so that I will be running the job in recovery mode. Okay, if we observe clearly, the workflow 1 is started. In that we have data flow. It is a df underscore recovery model 1, and df underscore recovery model 1 is completed, and it has started recovery model 2 is started actually, but unfortunately this is a failure. So this is what actually happened here. So now this is the point. So we got a failure in the second data flow of the first workflow. Now we will try to execute it. Whenever we are executing it, we have an option called enable recovery. When I say enable recovery and run it for the very first time, then what actually happens here? The data flow 1 started, it is successful, and the data flow 2 started, so obviously it is a failure. So why it is a failure means it doesn't have any the target pair doesn't have a recovery mode, so and also it doesn't have a permissions on it. Because of a lot of reasons actually, so it got a failure. So now what actually we are doing here? Now we have run the job now in the recovery mode, and so the BODS has identified where in which data flow actually we have a failure. Now what we are going to do, again we are going to execute, then you will see an option called this time recovery from the last failed execution. So rather than executing the data flow 1, once again, so what we are doing here, we are jumping onto the data flow 2 directly. So here, so there is no data flow 1. So we should see that df underscore recovery mode 1. So that is not at all there here. It says that data flow recovery mode 1 recovered successfully from the previous run. So that is where actually, so you have to understand, so how actually the things will happen. So when compared to so without running the job in recovery mode and with running the job in recovery mode. So like this is how, so we are going to run the job in recovery mode. So we have made it the job at a recovery mode at the job level actually. So we have a similar option in the workflow level also. If you go to the properties of it, so you can say that recovery as a unit. When I say recovery as a unit, so we have an option. So if anything got wrong in the workflow, so don't directly jump onto the data flow, just execute the entire workflow. So that is what actually happens with the workflow and the data flow combination. So now what I will do is, I will try to rectify the job here. Let us see how it will go. So I will go to the recovery mode. I have removed it. I'm trying to load it into any the standard the table. So let us see. Let us try here. So load it. I mean to say execute it. And I am going to place the same file format in the second data flow of the second workflow. So 1, 2, 3. So this is how actually I did a change. Now I'm going to run the job. Whenever I'm going to run the job now, it again says that recovery from last failed execution. So where actually it is going to jump into. So that is very, very important now. I'm going to execute the job now. So it will directly jump on to the recovery mode 1. Okay, but still the recovery mode 2 is having some problem. So what is the problem actually? Right. So the data store is not correct. So we have to correct it and we have to load it. So that is what actually we have to do. In the first data flow, so just the place a correct data store. So wantedly earlier I have made a mistake while loading into a table. In the first run of this recovery mode, but this time we need a real the data store where we can load it into the target system. So now something called as test. We will try to load it. So recovery mode I am running now currently. See here the workflow 1 is completed successfully and workflow 2 started, like I mean the recovery mode underscore V1 is started. In that we have the something called as recovery demo recovery 1 is started and completed, and the second workflow and the second data flow has failure with underscore V1. So that is what actually happens. These are all the points that will keep on adding to the existing recovery mode. So now what customer says that, so don't run the workflow if anything got wrong. So let us take an example that earlier we got it wrong with the data flow 2. Then directly the cursor will jump onto the data flow 2, but it is not going to run it. But what customer says that in the second data flow, even if one of the data flow is failure, so please run the entire workflow, the second workflow especially. So for that, what we are going to do, so we are going to the properties and we are going to say that recovery as a unit, like this. This is a symbol, so we are going to have. Now we will right click and execute and let us see what actually happens here. When I mention recovery as a unit, so what actually happens is in the first one workflow, see here, the first one workflow is completed successfully in the earlier run. So the workflow won't be run again, it has recovered from the last successful run. And after that, the demo recovery one will be running it, because I have mentioned that even if this demo recovery underscore one is successful in the previous run, because I have mentioned whatever may be the number of data flows we have in the workflow. So if it is failure, consider it is as a failure and run it. So that is what actually happens here in the recovery mode. So recovery mode is not that effectively used in the industry, because for each and every industry they have their own way of recovery mechanisms. When I say recovery mechanisms, we have lot more methods we have. So what they will do is, so they will for each and every the job got a failure, or each and every workflow or data flow is successful, then they will get a statistics from the SAP BO repository, local repository, and they will proceed from there. And the recovery mode is, it all depends upon the company to company. So if you want to go ahead with this, they have to enable it. But only the prerequisite condition is that in the recovery mode, the job should have failed at least once. So then only, from the next time onwards, it will identify the failure and directly the tracker will go to the failure point. So that is a prerequisite to the what you call as the recovery mode. So did you understand what is the recovery mode? It is very straightforward. So whenever we are going to check the options, recovery as unit, it will take care. So that is what actually happens. And even so, we have gone through the recovery mode at the job level, and we already gone through like how the recovery mode at the workflow level. And so we also have an option at the data flow level also. What is that option here? If we have an option called, like, I don't want to run it multiple times even in the data flow level, then you can say that right click and go to the properties in the data flow level, and you can say that execute only once. That is also possible. You can just click on apply and OK. So now execute and see, let us see what actually happening here. See here, it is recovered successfully from previous run, but again it has run the demo recovery underscore one, because I have made it at workflow level please recovery as a unit, but this is a parent and this is a child. So whatever the rights are given on the parent, those are controlling the rights that are given on the child. So that is what actually happens here. So that's the reason why if you go to the properties and you can remove this particular option, apply and OK, then what actually happens here, execute. Now, so that the first workflow won't be run because in the previous run it is successful. And see here, the data flow 1 is not running now because it is also running successfully. So directly we are jumping on to the data flow 2 of the workflow, second workflow. So this is how actually, so we are going to proceed with the activity of recovery mechanism. So this is called as an error handling technique. So recovery mechanism, what we have gone through till now, this is comes under a category called error handling technique. So it will handle the errors and where actually the code gone wrong, we can identify and directly we can jump onto that particular failure. So once you have identified the failure, you can rectify that, and the next time when I am going to run it, it is not going to run the previous the 10 or 15 data flows or workflow. It is going to directly jump onto the failure data flow or workflow. Then it will process the rest of the records. So that is a example of this recovery mechanism. So hope you enjoyed this. So do you have any questions before I proceed with the next type of transformations?
Hi, Venkat.
Hi, Chandra.
One question I have is, if I have got multiple data flows, and these data flows, just like I will give an example, I'm loading customers and I'm loading customer addresses. Okay. So now customers data flow was successful, customer address failed. Can I make both of these data flows as one atomic transaction? Like if the second data flow fails, roll back, or even the first data flow, or they are independent to each other and they commit in as soon as the first data flow is done?
Okay, so you mean to say like, so you have two data flows and the two data flows are independent but not dependent. That's what you mean to say, right?
No, I'm not telling I'm asking the opposite. Let's say there is some data flow where number 2 is dependent on number 1. Okay, and both of them should be committed together. Okay, so data flow 1 is already transferred to the destination, but data flow is not transferred. So now there is not consistency in the database level. Let's say we forget to run it again in the recovery mode. Now the data in the database is not consistent. Can I roll back the data flow 1, whatever has been transferred, because there is an error in data flow 2?
When you say rollback, you want to remove the whatever the records that you have loaded into the target system or the data flow 1. So that is what actually the rollback you meant to say.
Yep, you are right.
You can always do that, not a problem at all. So if the data flow 2 is failure, then you can always go ahead and delete the record from there. Yes, definitely you can put a condition, because so we have a standard function within the the BODS, where we can look for the respective data flow name within the repository, and if that particular data flow is successful, then proceed with the next data flow. Otherwise, if the second data flow is the failure, then we can go ahead and delete. We can write. So if you remember in the script object, we have used one function called SQL function, SQL, of data store. So with that, you can always write delete statement. So delete, the records from that particular table. Yes, we can do that. Not a problem. But so we have to customize it. We have to do some scripting. So we have to add some functions and all and everything. Yeah, we can do that. Not a problem.
And can you go back and show me your file, flat file? Can you go back to the flat file? Any
sure,
flat
definitely.
file?
Yeah. So in the recovery mode. This is my flat file. I'm just taking a very simple example here.
Okay.
That is already there.
Okay. Can you right click on the properties of that file? Sorry. Maybe from the local object library, can you double click on the file where you have shown a screen where you can set whether it is a local file. You know what I'm talking about? Double click on any file. I don't care. Okay, here. If you see that under location, when I was playing with the BODS, there are two types, local, no, under location. There is local and job server, okay? So my question is, if I have some files not on the job server, not local, I don't know whether local, because what I did is, Venkat, I installed BODS Designer on my PC, and I said local, and I said C/BODS/file name. When I ran it in the job mode, it said access denied for the file. So I think it was expecting on the job server, even in the local mode also. My question is, how can I set like a UNC path? For example, if my files are not on the job server but somewhere, let's say I'm creating a data flow transformation from ECC to MDC or ECC to CRM, I want to map the directory with using UNC. Can I do that?
Yes, you can definitely do that. Not a problem in that. So when I say local, when I say job server, anything you can use it, not a problem. So when I say job server, let us take an example that, so we are using the BODS environment now. When I say BODS environment, so let us take an example that this is where actually your BODS is installed. Okay, on this particular system, so you have BODS is installed. Let us take an example. And on the same system, you have a job service also there. Let us take an example. Now we have a different system, and you also have one more job server. I mean to say you have, because in your company you have a lot more jobs are there, maybe 1,000 jobs are there. So that's the reason why you thought instead of having only one job server, it is better to have two job servers. So pointing to the same repository of an SAP BODS, SAP BABO platform. So now you have two different the job server systems. Okay. So now this is what your client. Let us take an example that this is what your client. I mean to say your workstation or your PC. So when you select location, the location can be anywhere. The location can be on your system, on your local, on your any SAN disk, on your any SAN drive or any network drive or whatever it is. But this particular drive should have an access to the job server. It should have an access. So that is very, very important actually. Okay. So the job server should have an access to this particular network drive, whether it is the local or it is a job server mode that you have selected in that particular location standpoint. So when you say UNC path, yes, UNC path means, of course, you know that. See on my system, so currently I don't have even the rights, whatever the Genentech has given us. In that, if I place any particular file on this particular system on my desktop, I don't have any rights to execute it. So for that, they have defined one folder, it seems to be. That's what I have to verify now. So view data here. Right. So where actually they have put these files. So that is what we have to understand now. See here, this is the place actually they have put it. So you have to go to this location and you have to place the files. So you have to put whatever the files you have to put all your files in this particular location. So that's what you can do here. Okay. So on that particular desktop, maybe the permissions have denied. So whenever you have installed, maybe you have installed on your the personal PC or the computer system. Chandra.
On my client, there was only BODS Designer. What I did is I placed the file in one of my folders. And you are right, Chandra. Your BODS server should have access to your PC, maybe you are right, but I don't know which account I should be giving the access. For example, my question is, if there are files on a network, how should we set up that network folder? What permissions should we need to give to which accounts so that job server can access those files?
Got your point. Got your point. So, right. So let us take an example that, so you have two servers. So this is what your network drive, and this is what your job server. Let us take an example. So here, so the permissions is obviously these two should be in the same domain or same network. So whenever you are going to use a UNC path, whatever the folder you have, that folder should have a sharing the permissions. It should be shared one thing, and it should have read and write on that particular folder. I mean to say you need to write any particular file. When I say write, you should be able to open any particular file and you should be able to type it in the notepad in that particular folder. That is one thing. And whatever the file you have on that particular folder, you should have a read. So you need to have a read and write access on that particular network folder where actually you are placing the files. So getting my point, what I meant to say here, Chandra?
So when I run the job manually, I agree with you. Chandra, your account, your network account should have access for read and write. Okay? So let's, Don is running his job. Don should have access. I understand. If we schedule this job,
Okay.
like automatically, which account should have access? Because I am not running it, Don is not running it, it is the system is running it. So I don't know whether the computer account should have access, or some other service needs to have access. I don't know which.
Right. See here. So your log will tell you that actually. So who should have an access? See here. So this particular job is run by the administrator. The administrator should have an access. Whoever has installed with the service account, that account should have an access. So that is a very important point to understand here.
Got it. So for example, when it is installed on the job server, is this job server is shown up in the Windows services as a service? It's a question, Venkat.
Right. Got your point. Not a problem. So, yeah. Let me go to the services. So let me show you that where we have you should see data services here. Please help me in finding SAP. Okay, I think they have removed it.
Okay. See, that is what I was thinking. So if it
different system.
I did not see it as a service.
No,
so
that
if
will be shown, Chandra, like that will be shown as a service. The job server service will be shown as a service in the services.msc. But I'm just trying to pull out the system to show you actually. So what is the name
Got
of
it. Okay. Then what I think it needs to happen is that service needs to be a domain account in order to access network files. Is my assumption right?
Right. See, that won't be changed. Whether it is a BODS or it is a BIBO platform, whether it is another software, the way you are thinking won't be changed for any software. Of course, you know that, right? So.
Okay. Yeah, just show that to me. If it is as a service, I think I understand it, what needs to be done.
See here. So this is what the service is.
add it. So that's why, okay, BODS, okay, Business Objects Data Services, and we may need to run it under a domain account. And we need to give that domain account access so that it can read the files across the network. Got it. Thanks.
Yeah, and normally what happens is in a lot of companies, they will use a Windows AD authentication in order to log into the data services or in order to set up. So what normally they will do is the guys who are logging into the BODS system with their Windows AD, so that guys also should have an access to the that particular file format. So getting my point, what I mean to say here? Yeah.
Yes.
If it is an enterprise, yeah, what you said is right. But if it is an Windows AD authentication, the guys who is having the username and password and the guys who is trying to run the job also should have an access, should have a read and write access to that particular folder.
Got it. Thanks, Venkat.
Yes. So any questions, guys, before we jump on to the next type of transformations we have? Any questions? Okay, so now we will take up another type of transform. So that is called as pivot transformation. So pivot and reverse pivot transformations are very important within an SAP BODS. Of course, we are not going to use that regularly as we used the query transformation. But the pivot transformation will give you a basic understanding, and the reverse pivot transformations also basic understanding how actually you are going to convert your rows into columns and columns into rows. So that's for such type of requirements, normally we are going to make use of the pivot transformation. The pivot transformation is basically used to convert all the column values into single row. So that is what actually happens. So all the column values of a table or file into a row values, if you want to convert, then you are going to see a pivot transformation. So we will see that what is meant by pivot transformation with an example. So rather than like explaining you all these things, I will take you to one example where it will give you a clear picture actually. So we have something called an employee name, manager ID, internal expenses, and travel expenses and miscellaneous expenses of that particular employee. Similarly, BBB and CCCC. So this example, whatever I have shown you, so this all the expenses of that particular employee is displayed in a single record actually. The internal expense, travel expense, and miscellaneous expense. So what customer says that, so why I have to see all the expenses of the customer? I want to see only one expense of that particular employee. Maybe if I want to see all the internal expenses of the like the customer employee BBB you can see here. But what happens if I want to see only one type of an expense of that particular employee? It is not allowing. If I have to see, I have to see all the expenses of that particular employee together. So it is not at all possible for me to see only one expense at a time. So that is the main disadvantage of this particular data, what you are able to see on the screen. So now, so below are some parameters actually, so we have to pass it. So we will see that what is those parameters and all. But what I would like to see is, I would like to see that for an employee name or that particular manager ID, I want to see the different expenses like internal expense, the travel expense, and the miscellaneous expense. I want to see these three different expenses one by one in a single column, so that I can select the respective expense parameter. Now we have something called as the pivot sequence column. The pivot sequence column would be the sequence. Non-pivot column, we have something like an employee underscore name, because I don't want to pivot that, but I want to pivot, or I want to convert from the column values into row values of the expenses. So that's the reason why the data field column is expense. So that is what we are going to name it actually. And the pivot columns are which columns you want to pivot or convert into columns into rows. Those are all internal expense, travel expense, and miscellaneous expense. So this is how the output would be after we apply the pivot transformation. See here, expense type, that is an internal expense, travel expense, miscellaneous expense, so something like that. So this is how actually we are going to convert all these, different raw data to our pivot transformation files. So this is how actually the pivot transformation, we are going to convert the column values of the table or file into a row. This is where actually the reverse transformation pivot. So normally this pivot and the reverse pivot transformations are, most of the times they are going to use where the data is coming in this requirement. Okay. So normally if you have a partner functions, if you have a knowledge of an SAP, you already know that we have something called a partner functions table, and something like that. All the sales representatives, so what is their roles and all, everything will be, so each and every, for company code we have something with partner function. So for sales representative we have something called as partner function. So all those partner functions will be there in the form of a row values or column values. If you want to convert those columns into rows, or if you want to convert those rows into columns, vice versa, so you are going to use the reverse pivot transformation and the pivot transformation. So that's the reason why if we have any particular SAP in such type of requirements, normally we will make use of this pivot transformation, the reverse pivot transformation. The first we will see that I would take up a real-time example what is already implemented in one of the projects. I will take up the real-time file actually, and I would try to use the pivot transformation, and also I would try to do some the custom functions. Sorry, not custom functions. I will use the conjunction functions. So, and also what I'm going to do is I'm going to perform some group by operations, and finally we will be loading into the target system. So that is what the aim of this particular, the pivot transformation, what exactly we are going to discuss. So another the 35 to 40 minutes. So this is how actually the pivot transformation works. Now once this is completed, so probably if time permits today we will see that, otherwise tomorrow we will see the reverse pivot transformation. Now, so let me take you to the file. So where actually I have a file. The file is there here in my. So this is a file, object of a library missing damage, please install it. Okay. So this is a file. So my company is having like something like business unit, business category actually. For each and every business category, they have a what do you call as a different business departments we have, and where is that area, and who is the catalyst. I mean to say, who is the contact person. So they have mentioned like the catalyst, something like that, and they have like something like June 2014 sales and June 2014 fees, and May 2014 sales and May 2014 fees. Similarly, so all this information is available actually. So till like July 2013 or July 2014 or something like that. So customer is interested. So in converting all these into single column. So they want to have two columns actually finally into the target system. One column for the fees, another column for the sales. This is the input file they are expecting, they have given us, and they also provided the mapping sheet for that. What is that mapping sheet? Right, this is the mapping sheet. So finally, customer is expecting the only five the columns into the target system. So first one is called as the business segment, and the second one is called as the business unit. They want to have, and the third one is called as the fiscal month. So the fifth one is called as sales values, and the fifth one is called as the fee values. So these are the information they would like to get us from us. So the first two, the business segment and the business unit, are straightforward, and you can simply drag and drop from the source system. But the rest of the three are a bit complex to get it. So how to do or not and everything, that we will see that. So initially we will focus on the sales values and the fees values, how actually these can be taken care. So now, so what says that, the customer says that, please consider all the sales, Jan 2014 sales, Feb 2014 sales, and etc. etc. So please take all, then please do sum of all the sales, then group by business segment, business unit, and the fiscal month. So that is what the customer is doing currently. Similarly, he also does the same. So similarly, you want us to do the fees values. So the fees values, please make it everything into a single column, then perform group by on the business unit and the business segment and the fiscal month. So that is what actually we have to do. So we have something called a business segment, business unit, fiscal month, sales and values, and fees and values. So these are the 5 columns. So the customer is expecting from us from the target system. So now, having this particular the mapping sheet, customer also provided one sample data. So how actually he needs into the target system. See here, this is how actually he needs in the target system. Something like this. So he needs to have finally the business segment, he needs to have business unit, fiscal month, sales underscore values, fees underscore values. So these are the information they would like to have. The business segment, business unit, fiscal month, sales values, and fees values. And the customer has provided the sample data also. So we will take up these data as a reference. We will try to develop the job into the in the BODS. So now we will right click and create a job here as usual. JB underscore pivot transform 6 AM IST. I'm creating the data flow here. So I've defined the data flow event. Now this is the time for us to perform an extraction of your data. So now we will try to place this particular file, copy, and into the folder called Venkat folder. Because if you are practicing at your end, so go to this particular the folder and place your create your folder and please place all your the files and all everything into this particular area and please try to execute the job. Now, so I have placed the file currently. Now I have placed the file currently. So now what I am going to do is, so I am going to create a file format. So I am going to create a file format. New, go to the Excel workbook. So now I will go to the file format, FF underscore, I will say that sales, it's a sales related, but we will also see that it's a pivot, okay, sales pivot, that's what I have mentioned here. And now, so what actually you have to do is, so you have to go to that respective UNC path, whatever we have, the administrator has already created. Now paste it here and now go to the file name. What is that file name? This is a file name actually. The worksheet. What is that worksheet? Number. So we have to make that information. So which the tab that you are referring here? I am referring to not the first one. I am referring to the second one. So that's the reason why. So what we will do is we will select the second one even. Now, so I have defined the file format here. Now I will simply drag and drop actually, and I will try to preview the data what we have. We have something called as business category and business department, area and other catalyst, and with respect to sales and features and all etc. I have. Now, what I would like to do is I would like to maintain a staging actually. Okay, so that's the reason why I will load everything whatever I have here. So simply select all, and it seems there are some more fields are also there, but I have removed all those. That's the reason why it is giving a lot of the empty fields. So rather than selecting all, you can select only few. So that is also possible. Maybe I will consider only 2014 because I'm not interested in that 2013. So I will consider only all the 2014 values. So let us see. So in order to save some time. So simply drag and drop. That's it. So now load it into the target system. So into the target system, I already created my own the target SQL Server target database. So where I'm going to go there and I'm going to store it. The table name would be something called as sales pivot stage. So now we will try to simply execute the job. I have simply executed the job. It has loaded 257 records. And let's preview the records here. And so we could achieve all the records or not or something like that. Yeah, so all the 2014 related features and 2014 related sales, I could able to get it from the staging data. Now I'm going to create one more data flow here. Staging. So I have something called as df underscore pivot transformation. So finally you can say that pivot. So these two are connected. obviously, because into the staging. Now, whatever we have loaded in the previous data flow run, go to that respective data store, because that will become my, please go to the respective data store, and that will become my source here. So go to the target. So this is the data store earlier which we have loaded. Now we have something called as template table. In the template table, see here, you will see the sales pivot stage and the same template table. And the same template table, I am just loading. I am just using that as a source in the current data flow. Now use the query transformation. So I simply drag and dropped the business category and the business department. But what customer says that on the mapping sheet? The names are something like business segment and the business unit. So I will say that business segment and now the business unit. So it should be business unit actually. So query, business unit, these two are the fields. So after that, I don't want to have area and get list, because as for the mapping sheet, I don't see those. That's the reason why I'm not considering those. And I need all the rest of the sales and the features for 2014 year. Drag and drop all the information into 2014. Now, after that, I will use a pivot transformation. Go to the transformations, and now go to the data integrator type of transformations, and go to the pivot transformations. So we see like pivot transformation here, and we have something called as what columns you want to pivot actually. So it is very clear that I want to pivot all the sales and I want to pivot all the features information. So that's the reason why. So I will select all the sales related stuff first. Sales, sales, make it sales, sales again, drag and drop. And the by default, see here, in the target schema, you could see that by default the pivot transformation is giving 3 columns. So one is called as the sequence number generator. The second one is called as the pivot header information, and the third one is called as the pivot data information. And now what we will do is, so we have simply drag and dropped what are the pivot columns you need to have, and now we will say that what are all the non-pivoted columns, irrespective of whether the column values are in rows or rows values are in columns. It doesn't matter for the business segment and business unit. They don't change it at all. So that's the reason why. So you don't have to afraid of why we didn't selected these into the pivot columns. It is sufficient to inform them what are the fields or not non-pivoted columns. So having this the particular knowledge, now if I click on go back, see here you see that something called as a data field, header field and sequence. Now I will try to load it into the target system, then you will get a clear idea on what is an output it is generating here. So where is our target? Right, this is what our target. Now, for sales pivot, I'm just trying to load it in the initial loaded because we have to develop a log from the mapping sheet. I have simply arrived only to one column. So let us see what actually happens here. What is the data that you are getting actually? So see here, this is what actually happens here. For this particular, the progressive solution, for this particular international the specialities, for this particular pivot sequence, pivot header, so June, May, April, March, February, May, till this, for these two combinations, for the 6 months of data of the sequence number 6, and what is the pivot data. Okay, if you don't want to have these names, you can always go back to the pivot transformation and you can say that the pivot sequence we can say that data field would be sales and header fields would be, this is something like month, year values. You can run one more time. Now we will see output of that particular. Here all the names got. What happened here? It's not changed at all. It should change, right? It is also there. Okay, let us see. Log off and log in. Right. So here you see that. So the names got changed here. Something like that. Now this is all about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But what customer is expecting in the mapping sheet? Customer expects saying that business segment, business unit, fiscal month, sales values and the fees values. Actually, you can say that we got something called as sales values. But what about fees values? Because if you observe carefully the raw data, how actually the sales values are displayed in the similar fashion, the fees values are also displayed in that particular Excel sheet. So having this particular knowledge, now we will see that go to the pivot transformation. So you can add one more pivot here. So for this particular pivot, see here, the two sets are there. First set is for the sales and second set is for the fees. Fees, June, May, April, March, oh, I have to select once again. Fees, fees. So all the fields information that are selected, simply drag and drop all the fields, fees into the pivot columns. So everything else will be the same. See here. So again, if you want to have, you can always have the same data field. Data field would be something like
Venkat, are you talking on mute?
Oh man. I think again I have gone to mute. So sorry for that. I'm not sure what's happening here. But yeah. So currently what I'm doing is in the mapping sheet, the standpoint, we need to have the business segment and the business unit, the sales underscore values and the fees underscore values and the fiscal month we need to have. So from the table is considered I have everything, but I need to convert into respective formats. So that's the reason I'm just selecting the business segment, business unit, month, year values, sales and the fees values. So I'm not selecting this fiscal, the pure sequence that is not required as a mapping sheet. So now what I'm going to do is in the query underscore one, so we have to make a arrangement saying that what we need to have. Whether you want to change the field names here itself, you can change it. So as per the mapping sheet, what is the field name that we need to have it? That is very, very important. I need to have a fiscal month from the mapping sheet. So what I will do is, so I will do a fiscal month here, and as for the mapping sheet, I need to have a sales underscore values and fees underscore values. So because I have the sales underscore values, so right click on the sales, sales also should be converted. You can say that fees, they are expecting something like the name, save it, and now they want to have fiscal month, but if you observe the fiscal month, so how actually the fiscal month is actually there. So I just clicked on the back, it will come up. So the fiscal month we have is something like, the fiscal month is like June 2014 underscore sales. I don't want to have all the lengthy field underscore sales in the month year values and month year fields. I need only part of that. So go to the fiscal month here, and in fiscal month the mapping we have to write something called a substring. So substring, what you need to have, I need to have the value, some value from this particular string where it will start from 1 and it ends with 8. So that is what actually happens here. So I need to have starting from 1, I need to have 8. So let us and now execute the job and see like how the values are looking like. So if you are confident, so you can change everything. It says that there is something wrong. What is happening here? Let us see what's gone wrong. Oh, we didn't connected this. Okay. So right click and execute and click on yes. So we will see that. So one by one. So we have something called as the first one, and also second one is also completed. And now we will see the okay, so you are able to see the only part of it. So once that is completed, now customer says that please group by the information and please get the respective the data. Then we will proceed from there. So then I will place one more query transformation here. Simply the connect query transformation, query underscore to. We have something called as business unit, fiscal month, and everything. Now customer expects that sum of sales values he is expecting. He is also expecting the sum of the fees values, what we have. These two he is expecting, the sales values and the fees values. But how he is expecting? He is expecting all these values by group by business segment, group by business unit, group by fiscal month. Now we have three here. See? So business segment, business unit, fiscal month. Now go back and now let's try to connect. Execute and click on OK. Now we will see the output of this particular the table. So how the values will come up, how the job is successful, and all and everything. So now we have, these are the values we have. So we have achieved total. Business segment, business unit, fiscal month, sales values, and the fees values. But if you see in the sample data, so if I go to my the sales project, we will see that pivot output. What pivot output has given customer? The customer has given the output, that is fine, but customer in the customer fiscal month, so he has something called as one. First of every month he is mentioning here. So we have to achieve the same again in this fashion also. So in order to get all these things, what actually you have to do? So you have to place one more. And in the fiscal month, you can have again a query. What is the query? How I am expecting here? I am expecting the something like, so 2014 value. So after that, I am expecting the concatenation like 01 for every month, and we'll proceed from there. So now, so I already have a script written for that. So date format change like this. So this is also a combination of functions we are making use of it. So you can identify here. So if you have here, you can copy and paste it here. You can identify what actually I did here. So I have taken the substring of the fiscal month. What is the substring of my fiscal month? I have taken some substring and I have taken like from fifth point onwards. When I say fifth point onwards, I will copy and paste it here. Let us see. What it is saying that here we have Feb 2014. So we have the Feb 2014. We have something called as maybe sales. Maybe we have, okay, so sales or fees. So now from fifth, See here, I need initially take the substring of the month, the fiscal month, where it will start from 5th and it will goes for four characters, I mean to say. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it will goes for the 4, 2014. Okay, so 2014. So 2014. Now I say that concatenate with this particular hyphen symbol, something like this, and what I'm saying here, so please take the fiscal month 1, 2, 3. What is 1, 2, 3? Feb. And that value concatenated with 0, 1. So finally, what I'm trying to achieve here is, so I am taking 2014, I am taking substring called Feb, I am taking 0, 1, and finally I am converting into this particular format, YYYYMON and DD. This is a format that actually we are getting it. So that is into date actually. After that I am converting into a format that is called as YYYYMMDD. So it will say that 2014 hyphen we have something called as 02 hyphen we have something called as 01. So this is the information we have actually now. Okay, 2014, 02 and 01. So finally, so this particular the date format, whatever we have given, that particular the date format will convert everything into a usable format. So into the fiscal month. So what I will do is I will just like using the same. I'm just using the 1 instead of that 1. We need to have 1. That's it. So now if I execute the job, let us see the change, what we are able to achieve here. So finally what we are doing is I'm just doing a concatenation of what is the value that is coming up. That concatenated value I'm converting into date, and again I'm converting into a varchar. So that is what actually happens here. So this is how actually the things will happen. See here, 2014 0 to 01, 2003 4 5. So each day, so we have only month and year, right? We don't have any date. That's the reason why for each and every month and date I have to concatenate 0 1 and finally achieve with these all these values whatever we have. So now finally what we are able to achieve it? We are able to achieve it business segment, business unit, fiscal month, sales values, and fees values, and etc. etc. So this is how actually, so we are going to make use of your the pivot transformation, and you are going to proceed with the respective operations and respective values. So any questions, guys? So this is very straightforward, of course. So do you have any questions?
Venkat, right now that fiscal month is not sorted, so multiple questions on the fiscal month. Can I sort it by name? When I say name, and also our fiscal year is, let's say, from April to March. So can I say that show me by first quarter and define it as April, May, June, by not hard coding but by using functions?
Sure. So if you want to get 0 1, so obviously you have to hard code it because what customer is given only month and date. He didn't provide any date value at all. That is one thing. Okay. From the day value is considered, we have to hard code it. We don't have any other choice, right? Getting my point? What I mean to say? If you have 2014
I understand that.
Yeah, if you have 2014 02, yes, what is that is right. Yes, you can use a lot of functions here. So we can have something called as okay. Let me put another query transformation here so that so whatever you are looking for, so I can easily get it done here. So business segment, business unit, all the values, simply drag and drop here. So now what you are expecting is, you are expecting that I need one more where it will be called as something like quarter. You need something like that. So you can say that's a varchar. So is a quarter, just go to the functions. In the functions, we have something called date functions. In the date functions, whatever the date that you have given, so you can say that which quarter it will fall into. So what is the input date? Input date is coming from fiscal month. Finish. That's it. You have a quarter. So after that, if you want to have year also, like something like if you need one more field, something like that. So whatever may be the operations that you need to have, you can always go ahead and do that. Maybe I will say like month. So go to the functions here, date functions, this month. So which one would be your input? So here it is asking that, okay, you are converting, you want to get the year value and the quarter value, something like that, but what is the input date that you would like to give? For that requirement, I am giving for each and everything is a fiscal month. Click on OK and click on finish. And now, so you can always connect and load it into the target system. What are you saying that unrecognized, the business segment fiscal month is unrecognized? Oh, we gone wrong somewhere. So let me verify. Oh, where we gone wrong?
You have given integer.
The header column name invalid mapping expression. Invalid characters. Oh, what is that?
You have given character, right, Venkat? The date is character.
No. Earlier we were able to load it successfully, right? Now
No,
once we have added those two.
Is the date column is char or?
Yeah, let me. You're right. So we have to again convert that into a date and we have to proceed further on it. Okay. So there's one second, guys, 1 second. Alright guys, I'm back. Sorry for that. Thanks for being on hold actually. So yeah, So we have to convert again the fiscal month into the date, then we can proceed further on that. But we can have it. So the quarter as var 4 and you can have a month and everything. So what you can do is you can always go ahead and use the function. But before that use the 2char, that's it. So you have to convert that the 2char of the date and again you can proceed further on that. So what you can do is you can always go back here and you can always go to the fiscal month and just remove these two here from this location and go back. So go here and change it into 2_ date and you can have give a syntax something like that, and now place one more query transformation here. So because we are converting it, so finally it should be date. This month is also should be in date. We have. So
Venkat.
after that, yes please.
Venkat, instead of creating a new query transformation, can I in the query 3 itself, can I add a new output based on the fiscal month, query 3 fiscal month field?
In query 2 only we can do it.
Yes, you can do that, not a problem. But here again, in query 2, you have to convert it here. Because
yes.
you know because if you see here in query 4, if I'm trying to define one more field called quarter, so let us take an example there. So we have something called as quarter. So insert below. So we have quarter. Var I have given maybe. So here, if you see here functions, in the date functions, we have something called as quarter. See here, for the input date, we have to have, and after that, you see here from query 3 itself, it is asking. So prior to that, maybe in upstream itself, you have to change it. Something like that. So we got something like quarter. So let us see now. So whether it is giving an error, if it is giving error, we'll try to troubleshoot and fix the problem.
Again, while changing from changing to date, right? So there are hyphens we might need to give, right? Year.
Let us see here.
Date. Yeah.
So the header column name, month, year values contains invalid characters in transform pivot. So it says that there is some problem in the pivot itself. Let us try to fix that first. Earlier we didn't receive the problem, right? So let us see why it is. I don't see any header values.
Not here, Venkat.
Go back. If it is here, one second, guys. What happened here?
Change the column name.
Yes, I have changed the column name. That is fine. But the fiscal month substring, yes, here you have to put the same back. Here this is fine. And overall, let us verify. Okay. So now, see here, I have changed in the pivot, and now it fixed the problem. So now we have something called as month, year, periods. Now for other step also, I have to make sure it is converting or giving. Yeah. Now go back and verify. Yes. Now we don't have any problem. Let us see how it will goes and all. So let us see whether we are able to convert it or not. See here, we couldn't able to convert it because of some issues. So what we will do is, we will try to make it like why we couldn't able to convert it. So that is what we have to understand here. So let's give a different format here. So it is very regular problem, we will get it actually in general.
In the 4 Ys, do we have to give a hyphen after the 4 Ys? And
normally it is not required to give.
No, the reason
because
was
tell me.
Yeah, the reason is previously you converted with the hyphen, the previous query transform. If you go back to the previous one where you change it to char, go to the query.
Okay. So let us.
No. Just remove it.
No. 1 second. Okay. So previously what we did is, so we have to convert into char. After that we have to convert into dd. Let us see. See here, so what we are trying to achieve here, this is how actually we have to convert. Okay, so here Raju, so what we did is, previously we have some hyphens, right? So for that hyphen, I am again changing into to char of mmdd. On the converted values, I have taken a 2-date conversion. So getting my point, what I mean to say? Okay. So the to date will convert the char into date, but that char should be in this particular format.
Right.
But what actually happened here? So that is not in that particular format. So that's the reason I have just converted that char into this particular, and I have just made it like date time. Yeah.
Okay.
Carry on, please.
So
now, Chandra, you got what you're expecting here?
In 1 second, Venkat. 1 second.
Yes, please carry on.
Yeah. Can you go to query 3?
Query 3. Yes.
Yeah. Can you remove the to char there for the same? To char there. Can you remove the to char?
To char there.
Yeah. And in between after y, just put a hyphen.
Hyphen. Yes, I got your point.
Yeah. Will this work?
So you want to take video?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. We can try out. Not a problem at all. See here, even that will also will work out, not a problem. The reason why I have changed it back to is, even if I give YYYYMMDD, the BODS will always change it into dot. See here. It is not saying that into a hyphen. So that's the reason why normally it is best practice to make it everything into YYYYMMDD. Okay, so that is the best practice. That's the reason why I've just converted into like YYYYMMDD. So if you pass the YYYYMMDD also, it will take a dot here in between. So this is the default format of the BODS. It will take dot as a default in between, not hyphen. If it is a varchar, then it will be a hyphen.
Okay.
Chandra, like you got the point, what I'm trying to refer here. So this is a quarter. If you still want to have, you can always further drill down what you want to have.
Yes, Venkat, I got it. One question I have is, right now it is based on the, see, if I'm looking at it, it is based on the calendar, right? So January is Q1 and April is Q2. So if I have a physical year starting from April and ending at March, do I need to define a function or something like that, or can I tell the data services my fiscal year is from April to March, so based on it calculate all the quarters?
Okay, it's clear. I got your point.
Is there a, is there a way I can define custom fiscal years, custom fiscal periods?
Definitely there is a way. So we have something called as a custom function. In that you can create the fiscal month and fiscal year logics, you can write it. Okay, getting my point what I meant to say? Yeah.
Okay.
So any questions, guys? So we will see that what we have discussed till now. So what is left? So we have completed these two, and we put it in green. We have completed even this local and central. If you have any questions, we can always discuss once again, not a problem. And we have pivot transformation. We already gone through that. And in tomorrow session, we will finish it off like reverse pivot and date generation is very simple. So anyway, like we have used one of the functions called quarter, that in today's session we already gone through that. It is very simple. I think in tomorrow session, reverse pivot transformation, date generation transformation, and if you have any questions, we will discuss. And or else we will start with the data quality transformations, data quality, and it will take 2 hours of time, data quality. And again, these two will take up 2 hours of time, 4 hours. It will take 2 hours of time, 6 hours. And so it will take another 4 hours, another 2 hours. Total, like we have something like 10 hours, not 10 hours, maybe less than 10 hours. Maybe 7 or 8 or 6, we are going to complete the BODS part completed. Okay, so today is 13th session. So by today, like we have completed 26 hours of duration, and I'm expecting 4, maybe 6 or 7 hours, 6 or 7 hours for the BODS. Okay, so do you have any questions with that?
Venkat, I have some questions regarding the server setup. So,
yes, we will discuss after this session. Definitely. Yes.
Okay.
And that's all for today, guys. So we will see in SAP BODS and SAP HANA connectivity, and we will see in SAP and the BODS connectivity. And so let me, if I have any issues also, let me, concerns with the connectivity also, let me work with an administrator and we'll try to fix it up 1 or 2 issues. Okay, not a problem. We will see everything. So we'll proceed from there. Okay, so you are getting right, Dawn, Mike, and you guys are getting right. So what we have discussed in today's session.
Don and Mike.
Yeah, I'm understanding.
Okay, thank you. So Dawn.
Yeah, no questions now.
Okay, thank you. From your end. Yes, guys. If you don't have any questions, so you can log off. And seems to be Chandra and team has some server issues, and I will work with them.
Venkat, can I listen to that? I mean, regarding the server issues, maybe I can learn something.
Yeah, not a problem, but not because those are specific to their companies and their team. If you want, you can always listen, not an issue, but nothing new. That's what I feel. Okay.
Maybe I would like to learn like in the server setup, something if I can.
We are not doing any server setup actually. Yeah, not a problem. Generally, if you don't have any problem, I don't have any problem.
I don't have any problem. It is basically the Xerentech server.
Oh, Xerentech server. Okay, that's fine then. Yeah, please carry on.
Thanks, Chandra.
Okay. No, not a problem. Let me share my desktop, guys.
Yeah, let me log off.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, we are able to see it. Yeah, we are able to see your screen.
Okay.
Yes.
What I was doing is, Venkat, while you are telling the pivot example, I was also trying to do. But when I created my own data store, and when I try to do like a new template table, I can't do anything. So I don't know. See, I wanted.
Excuse me, Chandra, are you still, is this being recorded for the session? I see recording at the bottom.
Yeah, the session is still recorded. Yeah.
Okay. Just FYI,
So,
I guess.
That's okay, Don. So how to create new template table?
Okay, in the right click in the tool palette, you have a template table. See, in the right side of your BODS screen. Yes, just click on that. Yes, sir. Place there. Yes, click
Got
here.
it.
That's
Okay.
it.
Okay, so I was looking for here, and the new was not enabled.
Got
Okay,
it.
I see what you are saying. So here the new was not enabled, so I should do it from here. Okay. Thanks, Venkat. That's all I have.
Oh, okay. Okay, guys. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Then thank you very much. So for your